Hi sisters, James Charles here and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So it is officially October. I am so excited for the fall and for all the cute little pumpkin spice lattes and sweaters, but most importantly, I don't care what day of the month it is, this month is Halloween. The entire month. I definitely plan on doing a ton of different Halloween looks for you guys, so definitely leave me a comment down below and tell me what you want to see me do for this Halloween. But for today's look, our very first one, I did this half-face neon light up skull inspired makeup look, and I am honestly so happy with how it turned out. I think it just looks so sick. It definitely was not the easiest makeup look I've ever done. It took a very long time and a lot of concentration, but I feel like it's not that hard. You just have to be really patient and be willing to take your time, which is something that I definitely struggle with, but hey, we came out okay today. By the way, today's look is inspired by the Wigs and Makeup Manager on Instagram. She does so many beautiful and stunning skeleton makeup looks. You guys have to check her out. All right, all that being said, happy Halloween everybody. Grab your pinkity drinkities and let's get started. Alright guys, so I already went ahead and I primed my face off camera, as always using my favorite moisturizer. But before I actually go into the makeup, I want to prime my lips, and for today's video, I partnered with EOS to show you guys their brand new Crystal Lip Balm. Basically, this lip balm acts as like a moisturizing primer underneath the makeup, and it is wax free, so it feels super lightweight on the lips, which is great because we're going to be putting a lot of makeup on today, so we don't want it to feel very heavy. And it also contains a lot of natural ingredients like shea butter and coconut oil, which makes for a really long lasting hydrating feeling, which is so good. Like I said, we're going to be putting on a lot of face paint and eyeshadow and liner onto my lips today, which is not something that I normally do, and it tends to get really dry. So this is just going to make sure those lips last all day long and are super comfortable to wear. So now that we are all primed and ready to go, like I said, we're going to be wearing a lot of makeup today. So I'm going to quickly go ahead and do my base off camera as well as my eyebrows to save some time, and then I'll be right back to start off the eyes. Okay, so jumping right in, I have my base already completely on. This video is obviously going to be focused on the eye makeup and the skeleton portion, so I figured might as well just save some time. And for my eyes today, I'm going to start off using my Morphe 35B palette. I use this palette so much in all my videos. You guys have heard me say this a million times, but it is truly my all-time favorite palette for colored looks, and I'm going to be using all these blue shades in the left-hand row. I'm going to start off by grabbing an M433 brush and dipping into this light blue shade up in here and use that to start a transition shade. I'm going in with a very light hand because blue eyeshadow does tend to be very hard to blend out, and I do want this to look good, obviously, I mean duh. So I'm just going to blend this very carefully, making sure that this doesn't get too high up into like the brow and crease region, and just keeping the shadow mostly concentrated in the crease. I am taking what's left of that shadow on the brush and just winging it out as well. There's obviously going to be a lot going on in the mouth region with all the skeleton makeup, so I definitely want to make sure it's balanced on the eye portion, and there's just going to be a lot of dimension, a lot of different colors going on, so I feel like winging this out and making the shadows really blown out and wide with a lot of different shades and dimension is just going to like really even out this look. Next, I'm going to grab an M507 brush and dip into this darker blue shade in the top left hand and use that to darken out the crease in the outer corner. Then I'm just going to grab my M433 that I had that light blue shade on and use this to lightly buff over those edges to make sure everything is super blended out. Grabbing that same M507 brush that I used for this blue, I'm going to dip into this darker blue shade in the bottom and use this to deepen it up even more. At this point, you guys have literally seen me do a million half cut creases. I'm speeding through this pretty quickly just because there is going to be a lot of work and color going into the bottom half of the face, being the skull. So just follow along the best you possibly can, or watch another tutorial on a half cut crease. I'm basically just doing a full on blue one. And then grabbing my M506, I'm going to dip into the slightest bit of black from the bottom of the palette. And I mean slight. You need to be so careful here. Can't even tell you how many times I've messed up an entire look with black shadow, so only grab a little bit. And then once again going with the next darkest blue shade and using that to blend it out. Now that the shadows are all laid out and blended, and side note, I am so happy because blue shadows for me are usually really tricky, but today, this looks so good and blended, so thank God the makeup gods are in my favor today. But moving on, normally to cut my crease, I would use my Tarte Shape Tape Concealer, as all of you guys know, but that has a tan base, obviously, so instead I'm going to use my Kat Von D Lock-It Concealer in the shade White Out today, just because I want this cut crease to be like white as opposed to like a tan color, so you can overlay it with a glitter in a second. And then I'm just gonna set that concealer in place using my Sugar Pill Single Shadow in the shade Taco. And then finally for an extra pop, I'm gonna grab my MAC Reflex Teal and my Morphe M224 brush, and I'm gonna spritz it using some Fix Plus, and then pack a little bit of this onto the lid for just a nice pop of blue. For the lower lash line, I'm gonna grab my M507 and dip into the medium blue shade in the top, and just start to buff out the lower lash. You guys always know when it comes to doing half cut creases, I always like to bring this shadow in the very inner corner on the lower lash line forward as opposed to following my natural eye shape. This is a very drag technique, but I love how it makes my eyes look a lot more open and wide. Grabbing my original M433 brush, I'm gonna use this to buff out that bottom edge. And then finally, I'm gonna grab an M213 and dip this in the absolute darkest blue, and then just push this right into the lashes. So that is one eye all complete. Obviously, I'm gonna add mascara and lashes towards the end of the look, but everything else is gonna take me a long ass time, and I don't wanna have to deal with the struggle of wearing lashes for the next several hours. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the other eye off camera quickly, and I'll be right back to start off the skeleton, and then we'll put on the lashes and stuff later on. Now we get to move on to the fun part of this tutorial, and that is the half face skeleton look. Next, I'm gonna grab any white eyeliner pencil. This one is from Morphe in the shade Coconut, and I'm gonna start sketching out the highlights of a skull. I have a picture pulled up on my phone right here that I'm looking at. A lot of times when you do skeleton makeup, you usually start with black to do like the shadows, but instead today we're focusing on the highlights, so really make sure you're toning into the lights and the darkness of the photo to really make sure we achieve this effect correctly. Okay, so my camera died and I didn't catch it. I mean, imagine that. Are we really surprised at this point? But what I did is I started off with my two top front teeth and sketched those in, and then just started out from there, making my teeth get smaller and smaller as I get out to the molars out in the corner, and then I'm just gonna do the same exact thing on my bottom lip. And then taking a break from the mouth for 1 second, I'm then just gonna trace my cheekbone. If you make a mistake, it's okay, don't worry about it. That's why we're starting off with this white eyeliner. Basically, this entire top line that I just made was completely wrong, so I'm just gonna grab my beauty blender and quickly try to go over it as best as I can, but it's gonna be hidden in a few seconds anyway because of the shadow and stuff that we're gonna be putting on there, so I'm gonna go ahead and redraw that now. And then finally placing one really long line to trace out my jawline, and yes, I am definitely being a lot more sharp and chiseled than normal. Definitely does not hurt to fool the eye a little bit. Then I'm gonna start to sketch in my nose. And then remember, normally I know when we do a skull, we usually focus on the shadows first, being the black shades, but for today we need to do the whites first. Just make sure we get those highlights all in place before we place the shadows later on. So just kind of think the opposite of what you would normally sketch. So I'm just kind of sketching a white outline of where the nose would normally be, if that makes sense. Now I'm just gonna quickly go ahead and mirror the same exact white lines on the other side. I just went ahead and I drew out all the lines, and once again, don't worry if it's not perfect. You can always fix anything up with concealer, and we're about to blend the crap out of it anyway, so this is just to get a rough baseline. But now that everything is roughly on, I'm gonna grab my M433 that I use for my eye crease and back into my 35B palette, you guessed it, and dip into this bright blue shade and start to blend out all those white lines. I'm also gonna grab a clean M513 brush or any big fluffy brush and just go over those edges to make sure they're not too intense. Then I'm just gonna go ahead and repeat this for literally every single white line that I've already drawn. Okay, so at this point we're looking absolutely ridiculous. Trust me, I know it's gonna get better in a second, don't worry. There's a lot of layering that needs to really go into this look to make sure it looks really, really realistic. What I'm gonna do is grab a slightly domed packer brush into the same neon blue shade once again, and I'm gonna pack this on into the same exact areas, tracing over where those white lines were originally, and this is just gonna help add a lot more dimension to the white lines once we add them in next. I'm gonna do the same exact thing on the nose and the teeth as well, but I'm gonna use my M149, which is a tiny fluffy pencil brush instead, just to make sure it's more defined. Okay, so now that we have all the blue in place, next we're gonna go in with the black, and this is where we have to be really, really careful and really precise, or else this is gonna start looking really messy and really wonky real fast. I'm gonna start off by grabbing my M506 brush, which is that same brush we used in black to deepen up the crease, and I'm gonna dip it right back into the black from the 35B, and I'm gonna start to really lightly fill in these areas in between the blue where there is no light. What I'm gonna do next is grab my E37 brush and dip once again into that black shade and use this to add dimension into the teeth region, because using a fluffy brush in there would be a disaster. Alright, and now that the black is all in place, I told you guys this is going to be a long one. I'm going to grab my M513, which is my blending brush, to blend that blue out, and I'm going to dip this into the teal, and I'm going to get a lot of it on there, and I'm going to go right over top of those lines one more time to blend together the blue and the black. This step is basically to eliminate any tan skin left showing in this region. Okay, so now that we have the black and blue in place, finally, our last step is going to be to add the highlights, which makes this like actually neon. And today I'm going to be using the White NYX liquid liner. I'm going to be super careful here because this took a lot of time, but all I'm going to do is just trace a thin white line right over the center, most bluest point of all the blue lines, and that's going to create that neon sign effect. Just for an extra little touch, because at this point, why not? I'm going to grab an M441 or just any fluffy blending brush and dip the tiniest bit into the MAC Reflex Teal, spritz a little bit of it with some Fix Plus, and then just tap this pigment right over top of those highlighted areas. Finally, to finish off this look, I'm going to pop on the Nubounsom lashes in the style Dragon Lee, and you can use code JAMES for 20% off all their lashes. Alright sisters, and that is this half-face neon skeleton makeup all complete. I absolutely love how this turned out. It has been so long since I've done Halloween makeup. I mean, yeah, duh, it's been a year, just like everyone else, but you get what I mean. I'm so excited to be finally back in the game. I love October and Halloween season so much, and I cannot wait to do more tutorials for you guys. Definitely leave me a comment down below and tell me what you want to see me do this Halloween season, and I'd be happy to start planning for some tutorials. If you guys did enjoy today's video, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up down below and subscribe if you have not already. We are so close to 2 million subscribers. Click that little bell icon as well to be notified every time I upload a new video. If you'd like to follow me on my makeup journey, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. They're both just James Charles, and my Snapchat for more behind the scenes type stuff is James Charles with an extra S after Charles. If you are a new sister or you are already in the sisterhood, I love you so much. Don't forget to check out sisters-apparel.com for all your sisters apparel, gear, and all the cutest hoodies in the entire world. This week's sister shout out goes to Amber. Thank you so much, girl, for always following and supporting you, and I love you so much. And if you would like to be next week's shout out, make sure to always retweet my video links when they go live on Twitter. Alright sisters, I've been filming for a total of 6 hours now. I need to wipe this off and go to bed. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I love you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!